So I did a thing. Again. What have you done now, donkey? I interviewed my professor. Why? So I can get extra credit, duh. Yeah, no, that's not how that works. At all. Yeah, dream on, Betty. That's not happening. Guys, it'll be fine. I'll get the extra credit. Right, Rodrigo?
No.
Okay, I guess not. But you should still watch the interview. Bye.
Hi, Rodrigo. How are you doing
Hello.
today?
How are you?
I'm fantastic. I'm not nervous about my exam at all.
What exam?
Yeah, what exam?
What
Your
exam?
I'm still on vacation.
Exactly.
Right.
How are you?
So for everybody that's been living under a rock, why don't you tell us a little bit about yourself?
About myself. Okay, so my name is Rodrigo, not Rodriguez. Some people say Rodriguez, it's Rodrigo. I'm from Spain, and at the moment, I work as a lecturer in the University of Northampton. I teach physiology and research methods, which are very exciting modules for first year students.
And do you teach year 1, year 2, a little bit of year 3?
So basically, I teach first year. Mainly in terms of theory, and then I also supervise the students when they are in the second year and third year. We have obviously the clinic there at the university, so I participate, I collaborate with clinical studies, the other modules, clinical studies 1, 2, and 3. So
Okay.
yeah. But in terms of theory, it's just pretty much physiology and research methods. Yeah.
I remember.
You remember.
Not the research methods, but the physiology, I definitely remember.
Yes, yeah. I know. So so that's pretty much me at the moment.
Okay, and are you doing, I think you're doing a master's in teaching as well, or education?
No, so well, the whole story is basically I did a degree in nursing.
Okay.
And then I did a degree in podiatry.
Right.
And then while I was doing a degree in podiatry, I did a master's degree in nursing, which sounds quite, a lot, but it was quite a lot, busy times, I remember. So I've got a master's degree and now I'm doing what is called a fellowship in higher education. So to be able to be established as a lecturer in the university, you have to be a member of the Higher Education Fellowship Academy, blah, blah, blah. So I'm just doing that at the moment.
Really
Yeah,
cool.
it's super exciting. It's something super exciting. And then after that,
like Lord of the Rings, almost like the fellowship of all.
100%. Yeah, it's just something that's something that you have to do to just sort of be able to be officially.
And did you ever see yourself being a lecturer, or was that ever your goals?
You know what? I think it's something that I've always been interested in since I was in, I think, second or third year of nursing. But I never saw myself being a lecturer this early, put it that way. I always thought there was something after you sort of semi-retire. But I'm very excited to actually be able to be a lecturer now, because it's
that's fantastic. So like, how did you know so early on? Because that's, even like for most of us, we're not really sure where we stand with our goals. Like I know a lot of us want to have like private practice. A lot of us want to just, simply work for NHS and then call it a day. Some of us want to go to like surgery, pediatric surgery, but for you, that's quite a specific goal to have.
I mean, it's not like I wanted to be a lecturer straight away. Obviously, I wanted to have experience and work in different fields and so on. But when I was a student, when you do sort of group works and stuff like that, you have to do like a presentation in front of everyone, and everyone dreads that. Everyone is like, oh my God, I don't want to speak in front of people, and I hate it. So I used to be the opposite. I used to be the one like, it's okay, guys, I'll do the presentation, I'll speak in front of everyone, that's fine, I'm happy with that. And I always had really good feedback, because I've been always very curious person, and I'm into loads of different things, not only podiatry. I've got, been always a bit of a nerd, to be honest, since I was a kid, and I always like to transmit what I know, and because everything is exciting for me, I like to transmit that to everyone really. So I end up just talking
that's a
about
lot of positive energy. That's too much. I don't think I
all the
can
time,
find
but
that.
about everything, not only podiatry, anything, like the most random things in the world, like minerals. You know how fantastic and how amazing is the world of minerals and rocks. It's so amazing. I've got a huge collection of minerals at home.
Do you actually? Oh God, you're a massive nerd. I thought you were like
am.
joking.
No, I'm a massive nerd, honestly, really. I couldn't, I've got so many of these strange hobbies and so many strange, I like to learn about anything in general. So yeah, so everyone, my family, my friends, they were like, oh, you should be a teacher. You're very, positive. You transmit a lot of energy and like that. And I thought, well, actually, could be. Why not? And then I was working for the NHS as a podiatrist before I started doing lecturing in the sort of diabetic high risk area. Diabetic food high risk food service, and then I saw this job offer, job advert, the internet in the University of Northampton. I was like, I'm just going to apply for it. I have nothing to lose. I don't know. Probably I won't get it. And yes, I did get it, and I'm very happy, to be honest. I'm enjoying my life.
I think it's going to be a year for you soon, right? For teaching.
Yeah.
Very soon. I think January. That's when
January the 6th. Yeah, that's when I started. Yeah.
Are you going to do anything to celebrate your 1 year as a tutor?
I have to think of something. Maybe. I haven't thought of anything yet, but yeah.
So from nursing, that's really interesting. What made you choose podiatry? Because that's not really a natural progression.
No. So I was going to say long story short, but it can be a short story. Basically, why did I choose nursing in the first place? So when I was, none of my relatives are into health or medicine or anything like that. They have different careers. My family from my dad's side, they all work in circus and fanfares and things like that. Yeah, my dad used to be like a magician, and my half brothers and sisters, they're like acrobats and things like that. Yeah, so it's such a weird sort of. My mum comes from a sort of normal type of jobs family, and then when they met, they had me, and I grew up in a motorhome, basically when I was little, just going across Spain, and so health has never been anything sort of happening next to in my sort of family or my relatives or anything like that. But I remember when I was a kid, I wanted to be a builder because I wanted to build my mom a house. Okay, which sounds I know because we used to live in this motorhome. Okay, and I was like, oh my God, I wish I could live in a house. And then I wanted to be a builder. And then what happened is when I was a teenager, I met this girl who was my girlfriend back then. And she went into nursing, and she was like, "Oh, why don't you just get into nursing? You like to help people. You like people in general. You're very sociable, and I think you will enjoy it." Medicine was another option as well, but it was a long journey, and I just wanted to sort of do something that I could just sort of finish and then start working straight away and sort of change my lifestyle back then, because it was quite difficult. It was at some point my dad died, and then it was just me and my mom, and we were struggling quite a lot economically. So I needed some sort of job, and I was very good at studying since I was a kid. It wasn't a problem for me. And in Spain, it's not like in the UK where you have to apply for basically in Spain, if you sort of pass all the exams and you're fairly good, you don't have to pay a penny for so I don't have any.
Fantastic.
Anything like that. Yeah, it's really good.
I'm going to Spain now.
yeah, I'm very, very lucky, to be honest. I don't have any anything to pay back or anything like that. So I went into nursing, and then I remember it was in the second year of nursing when I was probably 19 or 20, 19, I think. I was doing some placements in community, and we had a patient who was diabetic. And part of the screening was just to check, the monofilament, the sensitivity, gene sensitivity. And, I learned about the monofilament tests and stuff. And then basically the nurse who was sort of teaching me in that moment said, okay, so now, because this patient has got a bit of neuropathy, we have to sort of send them to the podiatrist. Like, people that what is a podiatrist? So that was sort of the trigger, you know what I mean? I was like, I want to actually know what happens here, what's going on afterwards. I don't want to just stay on. So I started to just sort of find information on the internet and get in touch with some podiatrists. And then by the end of second year, I knew that I wanted to continue studying and do podiatry afterwards. So I did my third year of nursing. And then when I finished, I had to repeat my A levels because in Spain, we have a weird system where your A levels sort of, they've got like a date of expire, put it that way, they actually expire. And then something like that. Yeah, it's just part of the A levels. You sort of lose them and then you have to repeat them again after 2 years. So I had to retake my A levels. It's just such a system. And yeah, so I finished nursing and I went to podiatry straight away. And initially, I think that was the main trigger. Also because I used to play lots of sports with like skateboarding, BMX, and things like that. I used to twist my ankles a lot.
Yeah, okay.
I remember going to the doctors many times and they're talking about like, ankle sprain. Oh yeah, you've got this problem in this anterior blah, 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 blah. And then I was like, oh, this is interesting. And then again, it was just sort of the link and the excuse for me to get into like foot problems and things like that. But yeah, it was just from nursing. It was just a random sort of clinic when I was doing nursing.
Okay, well, that's really interesting because if you speak to a lot of students that found podiatry now, either they heard it from they have a podiatrist that they're already seeing, or they've had foot problems, or it's like a friend of a friend recommended podiatry, but whereas yours was you saw a patient, you're like, what is this? I want to know more, which is actually
exactly
cool. So what's your, now that you've exposed yourself and you've told me that you're a huge nerd, what's your favorite thing about podiatry?
My favorite thing about podiatry, okay, so I think, because obviously I've worked as a nurse before in different areas. I work in an emergency assessment unit. I work with people with dementia. I've worked in pediatrics as well. So I've seen lots of different things, and I've worked in a sort of job that requires a lot of it can be very stressful sometimes. You work day shifts, you work night shifts, you have a lot of drama going on. You have lots of sad stories, good stories as well, but you have to deal with lots of very, very intense emotions. The good thing about podiatry is that it's actually really very, very, very rewarding career, a very rewarding profession, because most of the time the patient comes in with a problem, and then in only 30, 35 minutes, 40 minutes, whatever you take to deal with the problem, you solve the problem. And then patient goes just with a huge smile saying, oh my God, thank you very much. I've been having this pain or this problem for ages, and thanks for solving it. So it's normally a very, very, I wouldn't say simple, but a very, very direct sort of rewarding profession. 100%. Also, I really like the biomechanics behind the human sort of musculoskeletal system. I think it's a really, really, really fascinating thing. It's really interesting when you look at the evolution of the human species from where we were monkeys to where we are now, in terms of all the changes in bones and joints and how we are biomechanically. I think is fascinating. But yeah, in terms of the daily basics, I think it's just a very, very rewarding profession, and you don't have to deal with life and death situations. You don't have to deal with drama, stress. You don't do night shifts. You don't work on weekends normally. Well, some people do. You don't work bank holidays. You don't work 12-hour shifts. You don't have to deal with many patients at the same time. So it's a very, very comfortable sort of profession, I think. And it gives you a lot of room to be as specialized as you want. You could just stick to the basics and do general podiatry and do the ABC of podiatry, or you could just specialize and be really good in I don't know, biomechanics, sports, or in surgery, or in diabetes. So it gives you a lot of a lot of options. So I think it's good. But it's difficult to get bored of it.
I mean, you raise a really good point, because I live with a lot of nurses in student accommodation here, and they talk a lot about how nursing can be emotionally taxing.
Yes.
physically draining, because
Yes.
it's a really high pressure job. And not a lot of people realize that not every field in medicine is as relaxed as
Mhm.
podiatry. Not to
Yeah,
put it
yeah.
lightly, but nursing is just beyond emotionally taxing. Like I didn't even realize until the pandemic
It is.
hit
It
how
is.
taxing it actually was. So
It
that
is.
brings me on to my, sorry, go
It
on.
is very, no, sorry, it is a very rewarding profession as well. I loved every single day I did nursing, and I learned a lot from a human point of view, from emotions, an emotional point of view. I've dealt with so many different people, different things that it makes you appreciate a lot more how lucky we are and how fortunate we are to be healthy, and is very good. But in terms of the sort of dynamic of the job, it depends on where in nursing you work. Okay, it's not the same to work in a theatre than working in emergency than working in
Yeah.
community. It's very different. But the normal sort of daily basics of most of the nurses, which is working in a ward in the hospital, it can be quite tough, especially nowadays with this coronavirus situation. But it can be really difficult. And I remember doing night shifts, 3 night shifts in a row. Then you have a day off. Then you start doing day shifts. Then your body clock is completely messed up. You don't know where you are. You're grumpy and you don't know why. And then again, and then you have to work this week. You don't know what the day you live in. You start at 7 in the morning and then you finish at 7, and you have many things to do. That when you have a good job like archery like this, it makes you appreciate. Wow, you know. I remember I when I work in the NHS, some people that have only done podiatry, they can get stressed quite easy, and they were like, oh my God, someone turned up without an appointment, and oh my God, and I'm running late, and this patient, had this problem, and I had to take 40 minutes instead of 30, and it's like stress, and I'm like, that's not stressful. Okay, that's not stressful. Like, you know what stress is? Stress is to be doing a night shift at 2 in the morning and have a cardiac arrest, one of your patients, where you have to give still 25 medications. That's stressful. That's a reason to be stressed. That, so it makes you appreciate how good.
Podiatrists have it.
100%.
So so you've already told me that you're a bit of a giant nerd. And once this is out on YouTube, the public will know. So you can't really hide from it too much. Was there one thing that you studied in podiatry that you struggled with as a student?
One thing that I struggled in podiatry when I was a student, good question. What did I struggle the most? I think I enjoyed most of it. I'm just good. That's an excellent question. I didn't like the biostatistics and research method side of it, despite the fact that I teach it now. But it's good because now it's something that I've never been interested in, research and things like that. But now I'm getting into that, and eventually I can see a PhD eventually in the future happening, and all that normal progress eventually will happen. But I didn't find it exciting, put it that way. That's like the boring side of the degree, having to do this dissertation and doing this research. But it's true that it's essential, and that's the reason why podiatry has evolved so much, and it's important. But I remember I didn't enjoy it that much, and now because I teach basic research method 1 in year 1, I try to make it very exciting and interesting.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think that's what I struggle the most. What's that? Say that again.
I forgot what I said.
No, that's all right. It's all right.
What was I gonna say? So, okay. So you've already mentioned that nursing has given you a really unique perspective on podiatry once you've worked in both fields. Is there do you recommend for a student to have another degree coming into podiatry?
You don't need it. I don't think you need another degree. But I would recommend to have some experience in either general care or health, or that could be interesting, or do some volunteering in a hospital and get involved with what's happening in a. The problem with the podiatrist, because it's so specific that sometimes we forget the rest, and you learn about it in terms of theory, but sometimes you have to experience what it is to be in a hospital, and to learn what a diabetic person goes through when they have I don't know, a metabolic acidosis, and they go to ITU and they get the treatment, and in order to understand more where that patient is coming from, more than just look at it just in a book or in a lesson. So I think it's important that I think podiatrists should spend some time just looking into some of the most important specialties in medicine, just to get a little bit of a better sort of scope or idea what's going on. But I don't think it's necessary. It's like dentistry. You don't need to have another degree. But it's true that a lot of people, as you said before, come from other degrees because either they just basically they couldn't cope with it anymore, or they wanted something more exciting. Another reason why I moved to podiatry is because you're an independent practitioner. You can that's brilliant. That's really good. In nursing, you always, I mean, it's a good and it's a bad thing. The good thing about nursing is that most of the time you work in a big team, and you have to work in a team, and normally a big team where sometimes you have the permanent people going to that ward or to that place where you work, and sometimes you have people doing bank shifts that you meet every day. Every day you meet someone new, and it's crazy. It's a nice environment because you get to meet a lot of different people, a lot of different opinions, a lot of different backgrounds, experiences. So it's great. The problem with podiatry is it's very easy to isolate yourself and sort of open up a practice and just continue doing the same on your own and forget about the rest. So that's why it's very important to be part of groups and promote the profession like you do in the profession like you're doing, or going to seminars, or going to different places where you get involved with different podiatrists, and then you get up to date and you learn different techniques and different things. Because the reality is that out there are podiatrists who they've been doing the same for decades, and they just don't open up to the sort of new elements in podiatry, new developing. So it's very easy to isolate, unless that you work in the NHS as a podiatrist or in education. It's very easy to use basically. And most of the time, what happens when you have a private practice is that you may do something wrong or something right, but normally the patients that don't like the way that you do the treatment, they won't come back. But then the patients are happy with the treatment that you do, they always come back. So that gives you a false sensation that you're doing the correct thing. And then you're going to find a lot of podiatrists saying, oh yeah, what I'm doing is the best because all my patients are happy. But it's a bit of a fallacy, because maybe it's not.
That's actually a good point, because Connor was, so in Connor's lecture for research methods 2, he was talking about causation is not correlation, and I think you're kind of hitting the nail. I think that's what you're narrowing down on. Where
100%.
That doesn't mean you're doing a good job necessarily.
Yeah.
Listen.
Yeah, absolutely. No, but it happens, especially with treatments that are not are very difficult to establish whether they, like for example, insoles, treatments with insoles. There's a big world out there about insoles, and a lot of people make insoles in different ways and different techniques. And then you're going to find a lot of people who are like, no, this is the best way because it always works with me. All my patients that come back for that, asking me to repeat the insoles is because I do the perfect treatment and this is the best insole. And it doesn't work like that. You should have a scientific sort of evidence-based explanation more than just saying, yeah, it works for me, so it's the best treatment and is a way to do it. No, that's.
I mean, like, I don't. To play devil's advocate, just for a little bit here. I mean, there has to be a sense of ego involved in having a private practice, because I think not only do you have to convince other people, but you need to convince yourself that you are the best.
Oh yeah, 100%.
maybe, I mean, like maybe they can't exactly afford to say, oh no, I was wrong, because as a private practitioner, that could potentially look bad and have its own set of consequences. So I think, I mean, I agree with what you're saying, don't get me wrong, but I think there has to be a certain sense of just being so sure that what you're doing is the right thing, because people,
Yeah.
only because people are coming back.
Yeah, absolutely. But ego can be dangerous sometimes, because you can sometimes commit the mistake of thinking that what you're doing is the only option, and sometimes, and you will see it at some point when you start working as a podiatrist, you will see patients coming to you saying, oh well, I've tried insoles, or I've tried this treatment and it didn't work. And it's like, hang on a second, what type of insoles have you tried? What type of treatments have you tried?
Yeah.
Because there are many different options. There are many different ways to do a toe prop. There are many different ways to make an insole. But some people, because of that ego, they would say, well, if my way doesn't work, nothing works. So there's no options. And then the patient will go and seek someone else. And then this person can come up with a different idea or different perspective or different way to treat it. And they will be like, hang on a second, yeah, you may work, give you another chance. And I had to convince many patients to try again the same type of treatment that didn't work in the past, because it's not the same. It could be different. It could be, an insole, a toe prop, a steroid injection, whatever. It can be done in different ways. It can physiotherapy as well. Oh, I've tried stretches, I've tried everything, I've done physiotherapy, it didn't work. Maybe you haven't done the physiotherapy correctly.
Yeah.
How have you done that physiotherapy? How have you done that stretching? You have to always, it's okay to have an ego. It's important, okay, to just be confident, but you have to be open to self-criticism all the time.
Yeah.
All the time.
So now that you have that experience, with patients who you do kind of feel like you have to kind of really push, what advice would you give yourself now? Like, would you consistently pursue and try to change your approach to that patient, or would you just move on to a new patient and let them go find someone else?
What if you're a patient and what do you mean as a podiatrist? What would you do with a patient that?
Yeah, like for example, like how we were saying, that they have that ego that they've tried everything and nothing is working. Like, now that you've got that experience with X amount of patients, what advice would you give yourself now? Would you?
Myself.
Yes.
Myself. I would say that if something doesn't work, okay, and you think your competences or your skills are not enough to solve that problem, always refer to someone else.
Okay.
And you will learn a lot if you do that. Because otherwise, if you keep in your sort of clinic, in your cave, thinking, okay, what I see is the only thing that I know, and you don't get some people, and again, it's about ego. Some people are very reluctant to send the patient to another professional because they think they're going to lose the patient, and they think that it's like a lose battle sort of thing. And it's not like that. Actually, I've seen it many times. If you send the patient to the right professional for a specific problem that you can deal with, that patient will bring you some other customers, because at the end of the day, it was you who did the referral. It was you who pointed them into the right direction. So I would say always get a network of podiatrists around you and get to know who does surgery, who does this injection, who does this treatment. Get to know different specialties, not only podiatry, but different specialties in medicine. Get involved with them, get in touch with them, and make sure that you refer when you have to refer, because it's important. I mean, some people may take it for granted and may think, oh, it's only feed. It's just a very specific specialty. It can be that complicated. It can. You have to work in teams sometimes, so you have to know where and when to send the patient to another professional when it's out of your expectation. And I've done it many times. Like, listen, I can't really solve it, but I know a guy who does this type of treatment. Right, here he is. Just contact them and try it. And then most of the time, the patients come back to you afterwards and say, "Oh, thank you very much. It's just a question of if you actually just said it. It's just about ego. It's just getting rid of that ego and admit that you can't know everything. You can't know everything. And in those cases, when you refer a patient to another professional, that's an opportunity for you to learn something new. Expose yourself to what's out there. Expose yourself to a different view, to a different way to do things. I think super important. Super important.
That's really good advice. Do you have any advice specifically for students that are coming into podiatry or that are currently in podiatry?
Right. My my advice would be try to stay passionate and try to keep liking what you do. If you do like it, if you don't like what you do, then change career. Okay, change profession. Because well, what's the point? I mean, we spend 1/3 of our time working and 1/3 of our time sleeping, and the other third is living. So you better like what you do. You should be enjoying what you look, and you have fair reasons to like what you do if you are a podiatrist, because we have, you know, podiatry or any medical specialty, you have the knowledge and you have the skill to relieve pain and to help another human being, and that on its own is a great excuse to enjoy what you're doing, because being able to relieve pain, help someone, teach them, point them in the right direction if they have a problem, listen to them, is very rewarding, very rewarding. That is very difficult not to like it. But sometimes, because of the dynamic of life, because of the type of problems that we have as not as podiatrists but as human beings, you know, life can be a little bit tedious and it can be a little bit negative, and that's when you have to start looking at things in perspective and maybe change career or change what you're doing. You know, it's about being negative or being positive. But yeah, my advice is to try to stay motivated, try to stay positive. And when you finish, don't commit the mistake of thinking that you know everything, okay? Because you will realize that the more that you learn, the less that you know. It's very contradictory. But the more that you learn, the more that you realize how complex and how difficult things are.
Like that currently.
No. It's you have to deal with that frustration. You have to deal with that frustration, and just basically stay positive, stay connected to other podiatrists, and never forget that your patients are human beings, are persons with problems, and you need to listen to them, and most of them, they don't understand what you're doing to them, and you have to explain things. Make sure that you explain things. That's super important. I found that really helpful with patients. As soon as you explain something and take your time to connect with a person, you know, don't think, some people, especially in the medical field, they think they are up here, they are like superiors of the species. It's true, and you see that in the hospital every time. You see loads of consultants and doctors that they don't walk, they levitate, they're just able to float, and they just move with their group of fans, and that's pointless. That's pointless. You should.
That's a really good point, because I work as a domestic staff in the hospital, and you know what that is, right?
Of course I know.
So for anybody that doesn't know, that's basically cleaning toilets. And no, that's so bang on. Like, that is so on the nose, because like it's really interesting to like have that perspective, because you get to see, first of all, how people see you based on your status, based on your job, based on what you're doing. And then you also get to see how people like treat you and other people, and how they see themselves. That I think it's so interesting. I really like people watching. It's just kind of weird, but
me too.
I really enjoy people watching, because you get to pick up so many so many tells. It's dead giveaways. I absolutely love it. But yeah, I've seen some doctors walking around like
but not only doctors, with any profession in the hospital, and they have this weird system with bands in the hospital. You are a band 1 or band 2 or band 3 or band 4 or band 5 or band 6 or band 7, depends on how much you earn and how many insignias and how many things and how many pins you have in your uniform. So it makes it even more sort of classist in the hospital, and that is a shame. That is a shame, because it does happen that some of the patients, you know, you go on the ward round at the beginning, and the doctors speak to them in a language that they don't understand, and they're very afraid of asking questions, because they don't want to look stupid. And then as soon as they go, they just normally ask the nurse, because we, as nurses, we are sort of in the same level with the patient, and can you explain to me what's going on? I didn't understand anything of what this guy said. So if you become when you become a podiatrist, don't commit that mistake. Don't go and just go to the patient and say like, oh yeah, so obviously we have severe cases of onychokeratosis here, and I reckon the best treatment is to do a partial avulsion with phenolization of the matrix. No, just talk normal. Your patients are normal people.
Yeah.
Everything in a plain language, okay? You don't need to be superior or feel that you're superior because you use fancy language. Explain things easy. Connect to the patients. Same as with the students. I think it's so important. The most important, the best subjects, of the best since when I was at school, I remember the best things, the best most interesting subjects or modules or things I taught is because the teacher was good and it was interacting and it was like close to me. And some teachers or some lecturers, they think they are like here, and you are a student and you should treat me with respect and I'm superior. No, you have to like. The more is, and I think it's scientifically proved. Actually, I was reading a research the other day. I mean, most of the time, you like and you learn the subjects where the teacher that was teaching them was more likely. You like them more. If that makes sense. The more that you like your teacher, the more you like the person who is teaching you. The more that you connect with the subject, the more you connect with everyone has had like a horrendous math teacher and hated math, or a very very good maths teacher, and then you love maths because in general, as human beings, we are curious. We should like everything really. If we should be like. I know it sounds a bit strange, but
it sounds a bit hippie, Rodrigo.
It sounds a bit hippie, I know, but in the right way, explain it. Yeah, but if you actually expose something in the right way, from a curiosity point of view, you can make people interested in practically everything, because everything around us is interesting. Even something that may sound a little bit boring, it's interesting. Honestly, it could be really interesting. So it's just about to project that. And when you become a podiatrist, if you ever look at the students and you have students coming to your clinic just to watch or help you or whatever, again, remember where you're coming from, because it's very easy to forget, and it's very easy. I've seen it many times. Oh, these students, they don't know anything. They just don't know nothing. Like as if you, Mr. or Mrs. Specialist Podiatrist, you know what I mean? Like sassy, you knew everything when you were in first or second year. No, you didn't know how to hold the bloody Doppler. That's fine. It's a learning process.
I've had a couple teachers, and these were the subjects that I did absolutely terribly. And I remember my teachers going, "How can you not know this?" And it's so defeating. That's so it's soul crushing. It really
you go and hack your pillow at night, and you're like, "Oh no, I don't know anything. I'm a failure."
Now I'm not paying attention because all I can think about is how stupid I am. Like, I can't believe I asked that dumb question. Like, of course I don't know how this Doppler works. It's just really, it's so defeating. I absolutely hate it.
Of course. I'll tell you a funny story. When I was working in the emergency assessment unit, I think it was, I saw an advert to be able to work as a nurse in theatre in Daventry in the podiatry surgery unit with Mr. Riley. And I applied for it. I didn't know who Ian Riley was. He's such a great professional. He's so specialized. He's very, very. It's the top on his field. And I went for the interview, and it was I think I was living in England for like 1 year or 8 or 9 months or something like that. So my English wasn't great, and I was like a little bit nervous. But I went for the interview just to see. It was in Daventry, which is like probably 30 minutes driving. I didn't even have a car. I didn't even know how I was going to get there. But I just went there, just to see. And it was really nice. He showed me around. I saw the surgeries and everything. And then I remember we were just talking about some basic biomechanical sort of anatomy stuff. and I couldn't bloody remember how to say the name of the tendons in English because I've learned everything in Spanish. And we were just talking about something very simple. He just said like, oh yeah, because you know the tendon that makes this and that. And I'm like, yeah, of course. It's called, okay, bye. You know, and I felt stupid for days and days because I was like, oh my God, what a failure. What a failure. So yeah, so from that day, I just basically took and bought an anatomy book in English and started to remember I mean, I mean, you've been in class with me, you know that sometimes I may say things wrong and pronounce things very, very funny way and forget about how to say things properly, and it's fine. I don't care anymore. I don't care anymore.
Okay, because I'm glad you said that, because there's one word you say that like anytime I hear it, I crease up laughing. Like I have to physically stop myself.
Which one? Tell me.
Oh my God. Okay. Please don't fail me.
No, please. It's gonna make me laugh. Go on. Go for it.
You know, can you say specific for me?
A specific. That's like a Spanish, because I am from Spain and I have a very strong accent. Listen, that was an adventure. Listen, learning. I mean, obviously, when I came to England, I knew a bit of English, obviously, enough to pass the interview, to be honest. But when I started working here, keep in mind that my first job. Let me just put you in context, okay? I do nursing. I go into podiatry, and then I start working part-time as a nurse in a care home while I am studying podiatry full-time. Okay, so yes, I don't have a car because I can't afford a car. Okay. So all I have is my push bike, and then I have to go 45 minutes to the university on my push bike, start the lectures, convince the lecturers so they can let me go earlier, go and go for another 30 minutes ride to take a train for a 40-minute journey to another city, work for 3 hours, come back, and then continue through the evening or recover or do some clinical hours or something like that.
Oh my God.
Every day, every single day for 3 years. Okay, like super busy.
Oh gosh.
Yeah, it was super busy. Then I decided that it was a good idea to enroll a master's degree as well at the same time, which I managed to do it, believe it or not. And then, yes, it was absolutely nuts. And then when so in this job in a care home, I used to earn something like 480 euros a month. And I had to survive with that. My mum's sort of pension and stuff, and survive. So like in very, very, very low amount of money. Then I finished podiatry, and I was very frustrated because I couldn't find a job. I had to do like extra jobs sometimes and be like a private carer. Or
in Spain there wasn't.
In Spain, no, it's a very difficult situation because it was in the middle of the crisis in 2018, 2008, 2009, and it was very. You could find a job, but covering maybe 1 month here or a few weeks there, and keep changing. And I couldn't find a job as a nurse, and I couldn't find a job as a podiatrist because podiatry is not in the NHS, like here in the Spanish NHS, it's entirely private. And I didn't have money to invest in my own clinic. It was like a vicious circle. So I was like, I am stuck. And the reason why, I mean, I was very lucky that I had that part-time job for 3 years that kept me studying and working at the same time, kept me going for low money, that's fine. But it kept me going. And I had a few offers like, oh, do you want to work 2 months here or 3 months there? But I couldn't let that small job because otherwise I could risk my podiatry degree, and I wanted to finish the podiatry. I wanted to make sure that I had the time and I could combine everything. So I had to sacrifice quite a lot. And then when I finished, literally, before I finished podiatry, I had this phone call from this recruitment agency in London saying, oh, hello, we're looking for nurses, do you want to come to England? Do you want to come to Northampton? I'm like, North what? I have heard Northampton, but I didn't even know where Northampton was. And I was like, yeah, that's fine. I mean, let's do an interview. So they did an interview on the phone, and then I did another interview on Skype with the sort of ward sister in the lovely ward sister. Oh my God, my favorite person, Helen Reynolds from Victoria Ward. She was great with me since day one. And basically, I did my interview and they said, okay, you need to start in a couple of weeks' time or 3 weeks, you need to come to England. And it was about May, something like that. And I had my last exams in July. And I'm like, shit, I can't make it because I need to finish my degree. And I was like, oh my God, I'm so disappointed because these guys, you know, I was offered the job. They asked me to start. So I, you know, I had to make a phone call and say, like, listen, I have to decline the offer. And they were like, okay, when do you want to come? And I was like, what? When do you want to come? Like, I was like, wow, this is great.
You want me? What?
You want me working for you and you're gonna wait for me? That's impossible to happen in Spain. That's impossible. So
You
literally,
so special.
yeah, but it's because they need a lot of nurses in the UK. They do need a lot of nurses. It's not because I was special. I realized that afterwards. It's fine. I'm there in my own little bubble saying like.
In that moment, you felt.
In that moment, yes, exactly. So basically, I said, oh yeah, can I go this day? Okay, la. So literally, and I'm not even joking. I did my graduation ceremony in podiatry on a Friday, the 14th of July, and on a Saturday, I was flying here. Just like that, to start my job as a nurse, like literally from one day to another. So I started working as a nurse because I had all my registration with HCPC and blah, blah, blah. And then I was like, I thought, you know, I would probably stay here for a year or two to get some experience and maybe go back to Spain. I didn't know. I didn't know. I didn't have a plan. That's another advice, talking about that question. The best plan sometimes is not to have a plan. If you think you know what you're gonna do in your next 5 years, and you're like, yeah, it's true. If you think, okay, in the next 5 years, I'm gonna have 2 kids, a house, no, it doesn't work like that. Embrace the uncertainty. Uncertainty. Honestly, it's the best.
That's so good advice because I didn't like. This summer, I thought I was gonna be doing my placement, my 1-week placement. I had no idea that I had no intention to start a blog. I had no intention to make any videos.
Yeah.
And now I'm like, I think like 10, 15 videos in. Like I'm deeply invested in.
Yeah, good.
In whatever
But that's because you're not scared to do it. If you would have thought too much, if you would have followed your brain, so that's another advice. Always, you know, if you have to choose between your brain and your heart, and it sounds a bit cheesy and corny, but always follow your heart, always follow your instinct.
That's okay. You're Spanish. You're allowed to say cheesy things. We'll let that slide.
No, it's true. No, it's true. It's true. If you would have thought too much about like, oh my God, am I getting into this? I'm doing videos and I'm gonna get criticized because of my style. Maybe it's a little bit, you know, could be a little bit different. And then you will be like, oh, I can't be bothered. If I would have said like, oh, do I want to really do another degree? Or do I really want to go to England and go through this? No, just do it. Embrace the uncertainty. If you get stuck in your uncomfortable zone, thinking, I'm okay. I keep complaining about the same shit every day, but I'm okay. I don't wanna change because, you know, this guy here who is really successful is good, but I'm better than them. But they're good. I know more than them, but it's because they're very lucky. They're very lucky. And we have Einstein here working in the same job, in doing the same thing for 30 years because, you know, you're very intelligent for that.
That's a different topic because I saw somewhere on, it was one of like the UK podiatry sites or something like that. And I saw somebody saying, luck happens after hard work.
Yeah, kind of. I mean, sometimes luck is luck. Okay. It's true that luck is luck. And we're very lucky to be living in this part of the world, that's for sure. And we have to admit that. And yeah, I mean, success is a combination of hard work, luck as well. But you can sort of work towards attract that luck. And you know, it sounds a bit like sort of mystic, but it's true. I mean, what you can say is, I've been doing the same thing for the last 20 years, and I'm expecting not to have the same results without doing something new. If you complain and you say, no, you know, I've just got so much bad luck because I never managed to do these. I'm always complaining because, you know, I never get customers or whatever, or I never be able to be successful in this business, or I can't lose weight or do exercise, or I can't stick to my diet. It's like, it's not bad luck. You're doing something wrong. I mean, if you look at the universe, I mean, you have the universe, you have the world, then you have Europe, then you have UK, England, Northampton, and in Northampton you have ECTA there, and that little thing there, and the world is just basically, it's been for years and years and years, it's been working on sabotage you and put, no, it doesn't work like that. It doesn't work like that. It's not like bad luck exists, good luck exists.
Yeah, for sure.
Take advantage of it, but it's about your decision sometimes. What's gonna, anyway, we're getting very, very deep on this.
Okay.
What I wanted.
Questions.
Yeah. Sorry. Carry on. Sorry,
No,
I keep talking.
okay. I really enjoy our conversation because we're going off tangents, and I think sometimes the more you go off tangent, the more organic the conversation is. And
Yeah.
But anyways, time for the funny stuff. Okay.
Can I just say one thing? One thing. Okay. Remember, you have your Oscars tomorrow. One thing.
Floor is yours. Floor is yours.
What I wanted to say, this was talking about the way you were laughing about the way I say. Right. Coming back to that. Let me just show you.
I'm sorry. I'm really sorry.
Nah, come on, don't be silly. It's don't be silly. It's true. When I very first started, that's why I wanted to go. When I first started, I knew English, but I didn't know enough, and obviously I didn't know all the expressions and all the different slangs and things like that. And remember, my very first job in the UK as a nurse was in a dementia ward. Okay. Most of the time, I mean, you speak different languages, so you know that sometimes you have to, when you learn a different language, you have to go by the context of the situation, and you have to sort of, you may not understand every single word, but you understand the context and then you go through it. When you are dealing with patients with dementia, you have no context, because they can just bring the most random conversations. So I remember loads of situations where I was struggling a lot with the language, and I'm like, what? Especially when you combine it to the amount of expressions that you guys use in English, like,
oh god,
it's like, I remember this 75-year-old patient with dementia just like, son, come here, I need to spend a penny, and I'm like, what is this guy talking about? A penny? Have you lost your wallet? You know what I mean? I'm like, what's going on? So did you imagine the process? The first year was like, my mind was like, and I keep doing it, I keep pronouncing it wrong, and I keep saying expressions wrong. And let me just tell you two examples very quickly. Two examples that always making me laugh. I remember my wife is from England, okay, which actually helps a lot with learning the language. And then first time I heard the expression, I'm cracking up. Like, I'm cracking. No, see, I'm not even saying it right. Like, this is cracking. I'm cracking up. Cracking up. I'm cracking. Like, I'm laughing a lot.
I'm creasing.
Cracking. I thought you say that. Well, you're Canadian. You don't know. I'm joking.
Rude.
Like this is like, I'm cracking up. Isn't it the way that you say, like, I'm cracking up? I'm laughing a lot.
I don't know. I say something else because some of my friends here, they say I'm creasing, and I was like, what does that mean? But I use it all the time now.
I haven't heard that one. But I heard people saying like, I'm cracking up, like I'm laughing a lot. And then I heard the expression, rolling on the floor laughing. Oh yeah. Right. And then I came with this random expression saying, I'm cracking on the floor. And because I thought it was the way you say it, but it just like, my wife one day, she said to me, yeah. It happens to me all the time, Hector, honestly. My wife one day, she told me, there's one here for you to learn. You're my dreamboat. And I'm like, that's nice, dreamboat. Apparently, it's a way that you can call someone like, you're my dreamboat, you're my dreamboat. I'm like, okay, I will try to remember that. And then every time I learn something new, I try to use it. So I was like, what was that expression? Dream, what was it about? I ended up calling her, you're my boat girl. And I was like, and she just looked at me, my what? My boat girl. And I'm like, well, it's not quite the same, but it's all right. I understand. So I do that all the time. I
think we should all say that now. Like, I'm gonna say that to my boyfriend. Like, excuse me, but you're my boat girl.
Yeah. Another thing that really fascinated me is accents. in the amount of accents that you guys have in English in general, and expressions.
Canadian, leave me out of this.
Well, everyone, we have, like me, or my Spanish accent. But you know, I was very into like learning how to tell like Irish accent.
Oh yeah.
And then I came across the Jamaican accent, which I love. Okay.
Yeah.
And then, do you know any Jamaican words or expressions in particular, or have you had the typical? Well, there's this thing called rasclat. Have you heard that? Rasclat.
No.
Rasclat is something really bad. It's like a rasclat is, it's like an insult, okay? Rasclat, and they say with that cool accent, you know, you're a rasclat person, you know, whatever, okay? So I kept saying that for days and days. Oh, rasclat, and it's something really bad, okay? And then I was in pediatrics, and I learned this other expression, which is a rascal. Oh, you little rascal, and you can call a kid a rascal.
Yeah.
I ended up calling a rascal to a little kid. I was there in front of the family, and I was like, oh, you little rascal. And then the parents were looking at me like, what is going on? And they were laughing, obviously, because they knew that's what it went. I'm like, okay, bye. It happens to me every day, every single day. Anyway, crack on with the question. Sorry, I'm just
Oh my gosh. Okay.
talking too much.
I can't believe you insulted a kid. That's terrible.
Yeah. Oh, little rascal, how are you? Yeah, really bad. Google it later, rascal.
Okay,
Yeah.
I'll that's my homework. I'll do that for sure.
Go for it.
Okay, if you were a king for a day, what would your first rule change be?
Right. If I was a king for a day, I will. Oh, this is going to be harsh. I'm telling you. I will probably.
I sent you these questions ahead of time. You've got no excuse.
I know the questions. I've been thinking a lot about it, and I think what I would do is I would abolish monarchy and abdicate.
I'm never gonna get monetized by YouTube. I'm never gonna. That's not happening for me.
What's that? Say that again.
I said because this video is going up on YouTube, so
Yeah.
what you can like a lot of content creators, they have a chance to be monetized by YouTube. So
Oh yeah.
like, they can like generate revenue. They can get that money.
Yeah.
I don't have to work so hard. I could just sit in front of a camera and talk shit all day. It'd be great. But now that you've said that answer, I think maybe that might not happen.
No, listen. I don't have. I mean, I think the Queen of England, you know, all my respect, she did a fantastic role through the transition around the after the Second World War and everything. And I think
you're trying to save yourself right now.
No, it's true. It's true. You can be a Republican and still have respect for monarchy. Absolutely. I think, and especially with what's going on at the moment in Spain in terms of monarchy, which is rubbish, and there's a lot of corruption and there's a debate out there. I think monarchy is something that eventually will extend because, you know, come on, it's not about royal. I was going to say royal bullshit, but it's royal blood. It's royal. It's because of the divinity basically select you to be the queen or the king. I'm not saying that democracy is the best of the options. Well, probably is the best, but I'm not saying that it's. I don't really know. It's tricky, but I don't think it's fair. Not only on the rest of the people, but also in the person who's born a monarch. Because could you imagine like how, that's bad luck. It's bad luck to be, and if you actually decide to get away, like Prince Harry and everything, you're gonna be basically criticized and bombarded and you can't choose.
You have to marry your cousin or something like that, like something ridiculous to keep the blood.
Well, yeah, that's another story. Yeah, but I think the normal evolution of society is to proceed to get rid of monarchy.
Okay. We're moving on to the next question before you get me banned. If you could
I can't remember.
create a holiday, what would it be and how would we celebrate?
Yes, I've been thinking about a lot about this, and I can't come to any conclusion. All I was thinking is I'd like to have a neighbor's day. So you actually get because I think maybe it's just the places where I've lived around here, but I think people don't talk to their neighbors enough, and then don't get in touch with the neighbors as much as we used to do in the past. I know my neighbor I live in a cul-de-sac, okay, and I know my neighbor on my right very well, and I know my neighbor on the left very well, and we help each other if we need to. But I've got 3 or 4 houses just in front of me here, and I don't really know anything about them. And I mean, you're like, oh, every morning it's like, hi, hello, good morning. But I remember when I was a kid, and I moved to the first flat with my mum, and you know, the neighbors were like your family sort of thing, and I miss that. I think we should create a holiday where is embrace your neighbor and invite them some dinner or do something with them. I don't really know.
But you could do that. You could do that now and just say like, hey, listen, I'm having a party.
Yeah, but I think the holiday would be just. I'm just talking bullshit. I think the holiday would be like the day of the neighbor, and how important is the community, and get in touch and look after your neighbor, especially if they're elderly.
Yeah,
I feel special predilection, special sensitive about elderly people.
Yeah. No, I get that. Okay, so would you rather be a hobbit or an elf for a day?
Good question. If it's for a
I think
day,
you're gonna say elf because you're already quite short. Okay, bye.
someone is gonna fail their Oscars tomorrow. No. Do you know what? Actually, that's a good point. No, no, if it was, because that's mean. If it's only for one day, the reason, you know, what elves? Okay, they're cool. They're very intelligent. They live forever. But if you're gonna do it for one day, you can't really live forever because you're only doing it for one day. And they are a little bit arrogant. I mean, it's true that they're very good at archery. They're very good at like horse riding and things like that. And they're very like.
Sure.
But hobbits are more like down to earth. I think I like hobbits. They're very special. They like to drink. They like to have a simple life. So I'd go to a party with Hobbiton in the community and just, you know, imagine just like a party or like a dinner with a lot of elves. Oh yeah, how was your day? Oh yeah, it was lovely. I've been doing some archery today, and I've been helping. No, hobbits are crazy, you know, especially if you mix them with dwarves. They are the best combination. They're just crazy. They're fantastic. Yeah. They're hobbits.
I agree. Short people are better. Sorry. Okay. Next question. What's the weirdest smell you've ever smelled?
Right. 2 of them. One is this infection caused by this gram-negative bacteria called Pseudomonas.
Okay.
Pseudomonas aeruginosa is called, and you will eventually, hopefully, I wish that you come across one of those nasty green ulcerations, because I'm doing it for you, for your learning point of view, you know. And I've dealt with that a lot, especially when I was a nurse, and I've seen a few ones in the diabetic unit. And it's just this random bacteria that actually produces some type of dye that is sort of green, okay, green and yellow. Every time that you see an ulcer that is sort of yellowish, greenish, it's probably caused by Pseudomonas. And it's the second cause of nosocomial infection, which means infection that you get in the hospital because you're in the hospital and you get infections. Basically, that's the second one. It's a bit of a tricky bacteria, yeah. And the smell is, everyone's going to tell you, the smell is very characteristic, very specific. When you read in the books about this smell, it says that it's like a grape, fresh tortilla. I'm not even joking. Odor. That's the description. Grape, fresh tortilla odor. It doesn't smell like that. It smells like putrefaction. It smells like disease. It smells like death. That's the smell of this Pseudomonas. It's disgusting. It's something that once you smell it for the first time, it gets stored here in the back of your brain forever. And the other smell, there is a place between Northampton and Leicester called Rothwell. And I've been having to go to Leicester to cover some clinics there for some reason. And I ride a bike, I don't have a car. And the good thing about riding a bike is that you can smell everything. Good thing or bad thing, you can smell everything. And there's this particular moment, a particular place in the motorway by a McDonald's, when every time I was just passing by, I was like, what is this smell? It's so strange. It's like the first 2 seconds, it's like a shampoo that I used to use when I was a kid, and it's nice, but then it smells to like rotten decomposition. And then I was like, what is this? And it lasts probably 10 seconds. And it's like, oh, it smells good. Oh no, it doesn't smell good. I went on Google Maps to check. I went on, it always happens. Every time that I've passed by, it happens. I went to Google Maps, and apparently they do some sort of, they basically take organic waste in that area, just exactly where I passed by, where you can sense the smell. They take some organic waste and they produce some sort of biomass, electricity, energy, fertilizers and things like that. So it's just basically a pile of organic waste is fermenting there, and the smell is so weird. It's so weird. It's so weird. I was like, I want to smell it, but I don't, because it smells really bad. It's so weird, honestly. And something smells good and bad at the same time. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Like there's some garbage that smells really sweet, but then also really raw, and you're like, I wanna smell it, but I know I shouldn't. Like, this is socially frowned upon.
Exactly.
No, I get that.
Next.
If you were a mad scientist, which we all know that you are by now, what experiment would you run if money and ethics weren't an issue?
I would click a magic button here, beep, and basically switch off all the social media and all the networks and all the internet for a couple of weeks to see what happens.
Just to see what happens.
Just to see how society reacts and how everyone reacts, because I still remember the times without social media, and it makes me feel so old. And I still remember the times where people were taking selfies and you were laughing at them saying, oh my God, what is that guy doing? Oh, he's taking a picture of themselves. It's called a selfie. A selfie? What are you on about? A selfie? It's very like, oh my God, it must have some mental issues, just constantly. Now it's like the most common normal thing, you know, and this addiction to social media and stuff, it can be really useful in one hand. It's very addictive and can be very prejudicial on the other hand. I would just basically do that experiment. I'd be like, bye. 2 weeks, no Facebook, no WhatsApp, nothing, like back in the 90s. No.
I think people would just lose their minds, and then I think in the second week, I think we'd be a lot nicer to each other.
Maybe.
That's what I think, because that's kind of what happened with the pandemic. Like, everybody collectively lost their mind, and then the next month or like the next week or something, everybody was just nicer.
Yeah.
And like I was walking past people like in the park when I wasn't being lazy, and they were actually saying hi to me. But like before, like they were quite busy, like, happily on their phones. Like before, like past them on their phone, not even paying attention. But yeah, I kind of think that's what would happen. I don't know anything. Last question.
Yeah.
What's the most creative insult you can come up with? Not insulting children. This is not.
I was going to say probably rascal instead of rascal. I don't know. I'm really bad at that, to be honest. We have many weird creative insults in Spanish, and if I copy one of them, for example, or translate them in Spanish, I'd really like, you know, when someone is a bit like slow, and they're like a little no, like real slow, like you know, when they are a little bit like you know, you like, you're right, mate, like, are you following, are you like, you know, they're a little bit
hamster train.
Yeah. So we say yeah, pretty much we say this something like in Spanish, we say like, oh, this guy needs a few more minutes in the oven, or a few more minutes in the fire. You know what I mean? Like it's not cooked properly. It's a little bit of a, it's like, you know, when you open the oven and you're like, oh, this chicken is not ready yet. And
sure.
So it sounds like that guy needs a bit more of cooking. You know, that thing, I like that.
That's a good one. Like this, they're not done cooking yet.
No. They need like, no, just stay away.
Okay. Before I let you go and enjoy the rest of your evening, do you have any questions for me?
No. I think you're doing a great job with all of these interviews and social media stuff. I think you're very brave, and keep going. And as I said, embrace the uncertainty, and keep going. Don't be scared of any
haters.
Any haters. That's always going to happen. That's part of that always happen. We always happen. Yeah, I wish I could be as brave as you and just, record videos and sort of expose myself to the world. But I think I can't be bothered at the moment. I've got so many things to do.
Oh gosh, I honestly, like, I don't feel like I'm being brave because I'm constantly terrified. I just shut my eyes and I put stuff out, and I don't even look at like what's happening. So I don't think
Yeah,
I'm being brave. I think I'm just being like,
it's the best thing that you can do, to be honest. No, but it's good. It's good. It's really good.
gosh, that's such a lovely compliment. Thank you.
No problems.
Thank you for taking time to let me interview you and letting me put this out there and
Of course. Pleasure.
introducing yourself so all the students know who you are. So they know where to
Yay.
find you.
Yay.
Okay, bye-bye.
Bye bye. Take care.